Good day, ma'am. I am Leslie C. Sampan, and I am the first reporter of the topic, which is performance appraisal. Performance appraisal, after the individual is hired, placed, provided with training and the motivation to work, it is expected that he will proceed to do his assigned task and deliver results. Whether or not he is successful in his activities, it must be ascertained, and this can be done through an appraisal of his performance. So, kaning performance appraisal kay nag-base siya sa performance sa usa ka employee and also expected nga he or she kay maka-proceed sa iyahang gi-assign nga task or trabaho unon sa kanang sa iyang trabaho. The next, performance, its determinants and obstacles. Performance refers to the effective and efficient accomplishment of objectives. It may be stated in terms of levels like excellent, outstanding, good, or poor. So kaning performance kay kuan gyapon ni siya. Kanang refer gyapon ni siya sa usa ka employee kung ang iyang trabaho kay na-accomplish ba niya or effective ba nga nang kuan niya ang iyang trabaho unya. Diha pud nimo kanang makita sa iyang performance if good ba, poor, or outstanding ang iyang performance. So next, ang example ani kay a sales manager was expected to sell 50 units of his company's products within 6 months and was allotted a selling expense budget of 2 million pesos. When he was able to dispose 52 units within 5 months and spending only 1.75 million, his performance was declared outstanding. He was effective because he achieved his objectives, and he was efficient because he did it with a reduced amount of expenditure. So, mao ni siya ang example sa performance. So, next is performance is a result of the efforts expended by the employee and which is modified by his abilities and his perception of his role. His efforts are a result of motivation. Abilities like language facility, finger dexterity, and etc. are personal characteristics used in performing the job. Role perceptions constitute the direction in which the employee believes he should exert his effort in doing his job. So, ang performance, nag-base po niya siya, more gihapon siya, nag-base sa performance sa effort expended by the employee. And also, diha po niya mo makita if kanang dedicated ba siya sa iyahang trabaho nga na-assign niya or sa iyahang kanang na-assign niya nga trabaho or sa job. Ang example ani kay a bank teller may think that his role is confined to accept deposits, encashment of checks, and other tasks related to her job, then keeping bank clients well motivated to continue patronizing. So next is mo ni siya ang mga example sa poor performance may be the result of any or all of the following. So 1, inadequate effort expended on the job. Number 2, lack of proficiency in doing the job, and number 3 is wrong role perception. So mo ni siya ang mga example sa poor performance. Then sunod is performance may also be affected by environmental factors such as conflicting demands on the employer's time, inappropriate work facilities and equipment, restrictive policies that affect the job, lack of cooperation from co-employees, poor supervision, inappropriate temperature in the workplace, poor lighting, noisy surrounding, improper shifting of the employee, and unsafe premises. So mao ni siya ang kaning mga performance nga makaapekto sa environmental. So next is what is performance appraisal? So performance appraisal, there must be a way to determine the work outputs of employees, alternately referred to as employee rating, employee evaluation, performance review, performance evaluation, and results appraisal performance appraisal is the process of evaluating individual job performance as a basis for making objective personal decision. So kaning performance appraisal, kuan gihapon siya, a system evaluating the process used by organization to assess the performance and productivity of the employees. Ang main goal aning performance appraisal is to identify of the employees' strengths and weaknesses. Next is the importance of performance appraisal. One of the responsibilities of management is to motivate employees to adapt and maintain behavior that leads to expected performance. One reason why employees will tend to maintain the desired behavior is if they know that their performance is appraised. So kaning the importance of performance appraisal kay kuan gihapon ni siya. Responsibilidad of the management is to motivate employees and to adapt and to maintain behavior that leads to the expected performance. The determinants and obstacles of performance. So mao ni ang kanang kuan sa determinants and obstacles of performance. Ang una ni ang motivation. Then ang under sa motivation adre ang effort. Ang kuan pud sa effort na ang obstacles, then sa obstacles na sad ang performance. So kani mo ni siya sa effort na po siya duha ka ang motivation of role perception. Next is behavior and performance appraisal. So mao po niyang iyahang kuan sa behavior and performance appraisal. So behavior, then performance, then ang performance kay dili nimo makuha ang performance process. Then so, the uses of performance appraisal. Apart from the importance attributed to performance appraisal, the information generated is useful inputs in making decisions involving compensation, placement, training, and development. So, ang kaning performance appraisal kay naadiri ang tulo ka kuan nga mga performance appraisal. Ang gamit ani kay compensation, placement, training, and development. So first is compensation. Compensation, the major motivator of performance is the financial reward. Linking performance with pay will provide some assurance that employee behavior will veer towards the attainment of the expected output. The same is made possible by effective performance appraisal. So kani ang compensation is one of the major motivator for performance is financial reward. So nag-base ni siya sa behavior sa usa ka nag-base ni siya sa usa ka behavior. Employee will veer towards the attainment sa expected niya nga output sa iyahang job or work. Then next, placement decisions concerning promotion, demotion, and discharge will require appraisal information. An employee with a poor performance rating may be subject to discharge or demotion, while the one with outstanding performance may be promoted. This makes performance appraisal is necessary activity. So kani pong placement kay nag-base gyapon siya sa performance o behavior sa usa ka employee. For example, if na usa ka employee nga kana ang dedicated sa work or nag-assign nga trabaho, so maybe possible gyud nga ma-discharge or ma-discharge or ma-demotion siya na if ang usa naman ka employee is kuan kay sa iyang trabaho kanang dedicated siya job nga i-assign, so possible nga makuan siya ang iyang performance kay possible nga ma-hire siya sa company nga iyahang gitrabahuan. So next is Training and development. Information gathered in appraising performance may be used in training and development. The potentials and weaknesses of an employee are identified in performance appraisal, and these are important in identifying training and development needs. So kaning development and training kay kuan gihapon ni siya. Importante gihapon ni siya kay nga magkuan gyud og training and development kay para mag-gather na siya og information in appraising performance sa usa ka employee para ma-identify nimo ang iyahang strengths and weaknesses. Example, a technician who was appraised of having potential relating with people may be trained to supervise the work of a number of technicians. In the same light, an employee who performed poorly because he lacked the required skill may be scheduled for training. So, mao ni siyang example sa training and development. So, next, formal and informal appraisal will be discussed sa next reporter. So, that's my end of my topic.
Good day, ma'am. I am the next reporter, and I am Evelyn T. Montalban. Formal and informal appraisal. Performance appraisal may be formal or informal. A formal performance appraisal are structured and scheduled evaluations that follow a predefined process and criteria. This appraisal may involve a structured discussion where the manager provides feedback on the employee's strengths, areas for improvement, and recommendations. An example of a formal performance appraisal is an annual performance review conducted by a manager with their direct reports. During this review, the manager evaluates the employee's performance over the past year based on the established goals and job responsibilities. While an informal performance appraisal is a feedback mechanism that can be spontaneously used to measure your performance. Informal performance appraisal can take the form of casual conversation, coaching sessions, recognition, or constructive feedback. An example of an informal performance appraisal is ongoing feedback provided by a manager to their direct reports on a day-to-day basis. Instead of waiting for a formal review, the manager engages in regular one-on-one meeting or informal check-ins with employees to discuss their performance, address challenges, and provide guidance. This ongoing feedback loop allows for timely discussion about job expectation, goals alignment, and performance improvement strategies, fostering continuous learning and development. Performance appraisal is formal if it is uses a systematic appraisal system. It is usually characterized by the following. First is the managers and subordinates share understanding about what has to be accomplished. Second is performance is measured during some techniques. Third is assessment of employee performance is done on a regularly such as every 6 months or every. Fourth is, during the assessment proceedings, the employee is well aware that his performance is being assessed. The informal appraisal, unlike the formal appraisal, is done whenever the supervisors feel the need for it. The assessment is usually made during conversation between the superior and the subordinate or on-the-spot examination of the subordinate's output. The process of appraisal. Performance appraisal is a process consisting of the following steps. First is the establishment of performance standards. The strategic goals of the organization shall be the basis for determining performance standards. This process is the employee will establish a meet and deadlines for each project he or she is responsible for. The employee will be punctual by attending meetings and programs at their scheduled time. The employee will respond quickly to client and co-workers' needs. Second is the superior-subordinate setting of measurable goals. When employees are involved in the setting of their goals, communication is facilitated and it becomes easier for the employee to achieve his goal. The superior-subordinate setting of measurable goals refers to a collaborative process where both a superior or like a manager or a team leader and their subordinates employee or the team leader member works together to establish specific measurable objectives. This approach fosters alignment, clarity, and accountability within the organizational structure. Third is the measurement of performance. To be able to know the extent of the employee's performance, what he has achieved must be measured. It is important that reliable measuring tools are used and this must be applied properly. Measurement of performance involves assessing how effectively individuals, teams, or organizations are achieving their goals and objectives. This process typically involves setting benchmarks, collecting data, and evaluating results against predetermined criteria. For example, in a sales department, performance might be measured by the number of sales made by each team member within a given time period such as monthly or quarterly. Fourth is the compare performance with standards. This fourth step is the reason for doing the third step. The objective of this step is to determine if there is any deviation from the standard previously set. For example, if a company sets a standard of completing a task within 5 days and one employee consistently completes it in 3 days while another consistently takes 7 days, their performance deviates from the standard by different amounts. These are the appraisal process. First is establish performance standards, then go to joint superior-subordinate setting of goals, then measurement of actual performance, compare performance with standards, and relate to result employee, then corrective action initiated when necessary. And the fifth process is discuss result of appraisal with employee. Whatever the result may be, whether positive or negative, it must be relayed to the employee concerned. This is especially important because the employee must know if there are adjustments that will have to be made. For example, if ang kanang employee is kanang sa kana siya ng month, nakakuan siya na kanang naka-achieve siya og usa ka kuan ba kanang iyahang goals na kana nahumana niya. Dapat ang superior ana iyahan na siya ikuan na kana siya ang imuhang nabuhat sa karon is dili pa siya enough, dapat imo pa na siya kuan og improvement in the future para mas makuan pa nato ang goals. 6 is when necessary corrective action is initiated. When the employee's performance is below standard, the underlying symptoms and causes must first be determined. For instance, for example, if a manufacturing company notices an increase in product defects beyond an acceptable level, they might initiate corrective action plan by investigating the manufacturing process, identifying the cause of defects.
So, good day, ma'am. I'm Romel Jr. C. Estrera. So, now we proceed to the methods of appraisal. So, we have 9 methods of appraisal. So, the first one is work standard approach, critical incident appraisal, checklist, easy appraisal, graphic rating scale, behavioral and card rating scale, ranking methods, first choice rating, and lastly, goal setting or management by objectives. So, work standard approach. What is work standard approach? The work standards approach involves setting a standard level of output and then comparing every employee's performance with a standard. So, for example, the manager of a carpentry shop has set a required output of 5 tables and 2 chairs per week for every worker. At the end of each week, the performance of each employee will be measured using the requirement or basis. So, ang kining standard work approach is established so that it is practical and useful to everyone and free of difficulty. So, kuan gid ni kaayo ang standard work approach useful sa tanan. Next one is critical incident appraisal. So, critical incident appraisal is to do a job effectively or ineffective. There are behaviors that are regarded as critical requirements. A description of these behaviors, whether effective or ineffective, is referred to as critical incident. This is used as a means for appraising performance. So, kani nga method is makatabang ni siya to provide specific feedback rather than generic feedback, making it easier for employees to understand what we're doing well and where they need to improve. So, kaning critical incident is makatabang ni siya to para pagpahibaw sa employee kung unsay angay pa nilang buhaton ug unsa pay angay nilang i-improve. So that's a critical incident appraisal. So the next is the checklist. So checklist is a list of behavioral description is used by the evaluator in the checklist appraisal. Items that describes an employee's behavior are checked off in the list. So the items are presented in questions answerable by either yes or no. So yes or no ra jud ang makabutang dito. In a simple checklist shown in the next slide, the evaluator places a check on the appropriate yes or no blank. So this is any example kana. So naa diha gipakita sa example ang mga question nga which is kung na-fit ba na siya sa employees. So ila ra na checkan dira if yes or no. Then ang kanisang checklist is usasid na siya ka type of informational job aid used to reduce failure by compensating for potential limits of human memory and attention. Then makatabang sad ni siya to ensure consistency and completeness in carrying out a task. And also makatabang pud ni siya to maintaining organization and efficiency. But ang kaning checklist is naas pud ni siya kaning mga disadvantage. So the first one is the evaluator may be affected by his own personal biases in the use of the checklist. Then ang ikaduwa is each job category requires a separate checklist, making this method very costly if there are many job categories. So mo na siya na siya two ka disadvantages ang kining checklist. So the next AC appraisal. So what is AC appraisal? The AC appraisal, also known as free-form appraisal, is a method where the appraiser writes a narrative about the person being appraised. The narrative will describe a person's strength, weaknesses, past performance, and potential, and also suggestion for improvement. So ang kaning AC appraisal is narrative ni siya nga nag-describe sa person kung unsa iyang strength, weaknesses, past performance, potential, and suggestion for improvement. So this method is as simple as it requires no complex form or extensive training for the appraiser. So among the disadvantages of the AC appraisal methods are the writing abilities of the appraiser differ. Better writers tends to be more persuasive in their reports. Then the second one is since the method is unstructured, the narratives often vary in length and content, making it difficult to compare one person with another. And the third one is the narratives are difficult to quantify. So the next one is the graphic rating scale. So graphic rating scale method is one which uses a set of identified performance factors. Among the factors assessed include quantity and quality of work, job knowledge, cooperative spirit, loyalty, dependability, attendance, honesty, integrity, attitude, and initiative. Rating scales are developed, making it easier to assess performance. So ang kanisang graphic rating scale is one of the oldest and most commonly used methods of performance appraisal. So, kaning graphic rating scale is one of the oldest and common nga gamiton nga methods sa usa ka performance appraisal. Then, this method involves an evaluator or manager rating an employee's performance based on certain predetermined criteria. Then, each criterion is rated on a numerical scale. So, it's typically from 1 to 5 skill. Then familiar naman ta ani no kay mag-rate tag ka ng 1 to 5, which is ang 1 is 4, then ang 2 below average, 3 average, then 4 above average, and ang 5 is ang excellence. Excellent. Then ang kanisang graphic method skill is simple to use and understand, is pinakasayon nga gamiton kung nga gamiton sa pag-rate sa usa ka employee or person. So next is the behaviorally anchored rating scale. So behaviorally anchored rating scale is under this method. Behaviorally anchors are used to assess the performance of an employee, and each anchor is assigned a level of performance, and the various anchors constitute a rating scale. A separate scale for each job dimension is developed. So it is also a performance appraisal method that combines the elements of a graphic rating scale and critical incidence techniques. It uses specific behavioral examples to assess an employee's performance against predetermined criteria. So ang example ani niya is ipakita rin siya sa next reporter. So that's all.
So, good day, Mom. I am the next reporter, and I am Mariane F. Estrera. So, an example of behaviorally anchored rating scale. So, moaday ni siya ang kanang example sa rating scale. So, the next is ranking methods. So, ranking methods are those which calls for comparing the performance of two or more employees. The more popular ranking methods consist of alternation, paired comparisons, and forced distribution. So, the first alternation is, so, dili na lang nako basahon ang kanang kuan. Yeah. So, kani ay, ang alternation is a method na mo evaluate sa mga employees. For example, sa trabaho, di ba, na may namang jud na tig-evaluate bisan asa sa kanang trabaho ba. So kaning evaluator mao ni siya ang mo-assess sa mga employees based sa ilang performance and places them in an ordered list. So the order can be useful in situations by factors such as productivity, skills, contributions, or any other criteria that the evaluator deems relevant. So, kani nga method, magamit pod ni siya in situation kung ang evaluator na ay good understanding sa mga employees sa ilaha performance and can make a subjective judgment about their value and importance. And then, ang evaluator pod is, mag-differentiate pod between employees based on their perceived level of performance. So, kani pod nga method maka-encounter pod og challenges when the list of employees to be evaluated is long. As the number of employees increases, it becomes more difficult for the evaluator to accurately assess each individual and rank them accordingly. So, the evaluator may face challenges in maintaining consistency and accuracy, especially if they do not have personal knowledge or sufficient information about all employees. So, it's important for the evaluator nga na ay comprehensive understanding of each employee's performance. So, the next is paired comparison. So, dili na lang po na ako basahon ang kanang kay Reddit. So, di ba ang evaluator kay mag-list man sa kanang mga names sa tanang employees nga na-evaluate. So, and then ang evaluator mag-pair pod ni siya sa every employee o sa uban pod mga employee for matrix comparison. For each pair, ang evaluator mag-decide man kung kinsay better performer base sa criteria. Yeah. One criteria might be anything from quality or quantity or of output to cooperation and work attitude. So, Each time of employee is selected as the better performer in a pair. Then they receive points. Yeah, after all pairs have been evaluated, the points are totaled for each employee. Kung ang employee ang mag-highest total is makonsidered siya mo ang top performer. So the next is force distribution. So first distribution is under this method, the evaluator also compares the performance of employees. As he is doing this, however, he has to keep in mind how will you allocate the results to the percentage requirements of the various predetermined levels of performance. So kani ay ang force distribution is so ang evaluator mag-identify of different levels sa performance. Yeah, kani nga levels might be labeled as excellent, average, below an average, and poor or similar terms. And then ang evaluator mag-determine pud ni siya kung unsay percentage sa kanang employee nga ni should fall into each performance level. For example, they might decide that 10% of employees will be rated as excellent, 20% as good, 40% as average, 20% as below average, and 10% as poor. So, naapay ko na lahi nga kanang nga example niya. Later on, ako lang ni siya ipakita. And then, ang evaluator is mag-assess pud ni siya each employee performance o assign to one of the predetermined performance levels, ensuring that the total percentage sa mga employees in each level matches the predetermined percentage. So the next is mo ani siya ang kanang sunod sa katong first distribution. Mo pud ni siya kanang sample pud na lahi. So the levels of performance and the required percentage. So mo ani siya. Regardless of the outcome of the comparison, 15% of the total number of evaluation must be placed under level 1, 70% under level 2, and 15% under level 3. So mo ani siya gyapon ng example. So kaganina di ba yung mga ko na apply nga kanang kuan. So mo ani siya another example pod sa paired comparison result. So mo ni siya Gina versus Anna, Gina versus Joanna. So mo na siya ang kuan example kato. Yeah, another example na pod sa paired comparison result. So mo ni siya ang summary of comparison. So mo ni siya ang kanang example kaganina mo ni siya name of employee si Gina. So the disadvantage of the method is that is very awkward to use where small number of employees. So di na lang nako ikanang kuan. So yeah, mo pod ni ang kanang example sa force. Mo ni example gihapon ni siya sa force rating. So the first choice rating method is one where the rater must choose between two or more specific statements about an employee work behavior. For example, a sales supervisor evaluating the performance of a sales clerk might have to choose between the following statements. So, mo ni siya ang kuan example gihapon. So, diri na ta is, ang next kay kuan, goal setting or MBO. So, a more elaborate means of performance evaluation is facilitated through the use of the goal setting approach, sometimes referred to as management by objectives or MBO. So, this is made possible with the adoption of the 4 basic MBO steps consisting of the following. So, ang kanidang upat is mo ni siya ang mga steps sa kanang kuan MBO. So ang the first one is the employee and his superior jointly set goals. So, it means that both parties mag-collaborate to establish objectives and targets for the employee's performance. So, kani nga kuan process mag-involve pud ni siya og open communication, mutual agreement and alignment with the organization overall goals. So, number 2 is the employee tries to meet the goals. They make concerted efforts kanang works towards achieving the objectives that were jointly established with their superior. Nya mag-involves pud ni siya og sa ilaha kanang skills, kanang knowledge, nya kuan sad kanang og resources to accomplish the tasks and outlined in the goal setting process. By striving to meet the goals, ang employee mag-demonstrate their commitment to their role and contributes to the overall success of the organization. So, number 3, performance is evaluated against the goals. So, to determine how effectively the employee has met the targets and objectives that were established. So, kani pag-evaluation, makatabang pud ni siya sa sa pag-assess sa mga employee niya sa pag-progress, identify areas of success or improvement, and provide feedback for future development. So the next is the number 4. The employee and superior jointly set new goals for the mo na siya. So, ang employee o superior is once kanang mag-collaborate na pod to establish kanang new objectives and targets. Yeah. This allows for ongoing alignment and continuous improvement and a clear direction for the employee performance to kanang moving forward. Is for an MBO systems to be successful, there are certain prerequisites that must be satisfied accordingly, which are as follows. So number 1 is the use of the participative style of management. So actively involving employees in decision making process seeking their input and evaluating their contribution. So kanang this approach foster a sense of ownership, empowerment, and engagement among employees, leading to increased motivation, productivity, and a positive work environment. So number 2 is pinpointing which employee is responsible for which results. And so kani di ay mag-involves ko to kuan kanang identifying and attributing specific outcomes and achievements to individual employees based sa ilaha kanang contribution og performance. Anya kanang makatabang pud ni pag-recognize og pag-reward sa mga employees sa ilaha efforts, providing clarity and accountability, and facilitating targeted performance management and development strategies. So number 3 is providing performance feedback to concerned employees. So it involves sharing constructive and specific information about sa ilaha kanang performance, highlighting areas of strength and areas for improvement. So this feedback is makatabang pud ni siya sa kanang mga employees to gain awareness sa ilaha performance, make necessary adjustment, and continue sa pag-grow o develop sa ilaha kanang roles. So that's all. That's the end of my topic.
Sources of performance information. The exposure of employee and managers to various interests provides a way to collect information relevant to appraising performance. As such, information may be derived from the following source: supervisors, peers, subordinates, the rater himself, and customers. In the Philippines, state colleges and universities have adopted this SIM as early as 1990. Whether they have effectively implemented it or not is a matter of concern for, for the various stakeholders of organizations. So the sources of performance information, okay, whether the college effectively implemented this SIM or not would depend on how they have used the performance information from these sources to improve the faculty members' performance and the college's services. It would also depend on how whether they have addressed any concerns raised by the various stakeholders. Supervisors. Supervisors are good sources of information regarding employees and their direct control. Most often they are able to make frequent observations of the day-to-day activities of their subordinates. So supervisors, in this case, the sales manager would be the supervisors. They would have direct control over the sales team and would be able to observe their day-to-day activities when they are in the office, such as their punctuality, their communication skills, and their ability to work in a team. Peers. Co-employees are vital source of information regarding the performance of an employee. Those equal ranks often work together and are provided with the opportunity of observing another while at work. So peers. In this context, peers are the software developers who work together on the same team. They often collaborate on projects, conduct code reviews, and troubleshoot problems together. As such as they have the opportunity to observe each other work, habits, technical skills, and problem-solving abilities. They can provide valuable feedback on the individual performance such as their coding skills, their ability to meet deadlines, and their teamwork to overcome disadvantages. The company could provide training on how to give and receive constructive feedback. Subordinates. When managers are evaluated, subordinates constitute a good source of information. However, since subordinates are under the supervision and control of managers, they find it difficult to respond any kind of inquiry regarding their bosses. So subordinates, in this case, the subordinates are the customer services representatives, and their manager is the customer services manager. The representatives interact with customers daily, handle their queries and complainants, and they're directly responsible for customers' satisfaction, such as they have a good understanding and manager leadership, communication skills, and ability to handle difficult situations. Customers. Customers are the best position to provide information on the behavior of employees they encounter, as customer satisfaction is very important to many organizations. It is only right to regard them as important source of information regarding performance. So customers, in this context, customers are the people who dine at the restaurant. They interact with the bosses and experience their restaurant services and the food quality firsthand. As such, they are they are in a great position to provide feedback on the staff behavior, the quality of service, the taste and presentation of the food, and the overall dining experience. Customer satisfaction is crucial for the restaurant's success. To their feedback is highly valuable. That's all, ma'am. So now we proceed to the next reporter.
Errors in performance appraisal. Hello error. Employees are oftentimes evaluated on several traits and it's not expected that one employee will have outstanding ratings in all traits under expected consideration. When the result of evaluation of the trait influences the evaluator in the assessment of the traits, then he is committing the hollow error. For example, a supervisor is aware that his salesperson is rated outstanding in customer relations. He may mistakenly rate the salesperson as also outstanding in another trait, like cooperates with co-employees. To avoid this error, the evaluator be diligent enough to standard procedure in all traits under consideration. Single criterion. An error in appraisal may happen when job consisting of several tasks is evaluated on the basis of a single criterion. The single criterion errors occurs when a job with multiple tasks is evaluated based on only one aspect, neglecting the other responsibilities. Leniency error. Evaluators are confronted with a tendency to use his or her own value system in appraising the performance of certain individuals. The leniency of the evaluator may lead to very high or very low ratings when applied to a group of employees. The leniency error occurs when evaluators use their personal values to assess individuals, resulting in excessively high or low ratings across groups. While leniency might not pose an issue with a single evaluators, it becomes problematic when different evaluators apply consistent standards leading to unfair comparison and criticism. Central tendency error. This type of error is committed when all employees are rated with a narrow range as the performance of all employees are equal or almost equal. The central tendency occurs when evaluators rate all employees within a narrow range, suggesting that everyone's performance is similar or nearly identical. For example, in appraisal where most employees are rated as average, with very few rated as excellent or poor, it indicates a failure to differentiate between varying levels of performance. Recency problem. When recent performance is given greater weight than earlier performance, recency problem occurs. The opposite of the recency problem is the primacy error, where early performance is considered more important than later performance. Using multiple criteria in performance evaluation, acknowledge the diverse nature of job responsibilities. Different tasks may demand different standards for assessment. By employing various criteria, it ensures fairness and accuracy in evaluating performance across all job duties, preventing potential injustice from using unsuitable metrics. The recency problem occurs when recent performance is overly emphasized, overshadowing earlier achievements or shortcomings. In contrast, the primacy error favors early performance over later accomplishment. Both biases can skew evaluation by disproportionately weighting either recent or initial performance. Overcoming errors in performance appraisal. As no method of appraisal is perfect, errors are bound to happen. But even if this is so, evaluating the performance of employees must continue to be undertaken. Regarding the errors in evaluation, measures must be adopted to eliminate totally or even partially the possibility of their occurrence. Rubin has presented some means in overcoming such problem. These are follows. Number one, using multiple criteria. Most job consists of various tasks that must be performed according to requirements as such. It's wise to use the multiple criteria approach. Using multiple criteria in performance evaluation is essential because different tasks within a job may require different standards for assessment. For example, in a sales role, one criterion for evaluating performance might be sales revenue generated, while another criterion could be customer satisfaction ratings. By considering multiple criteria, the evaluation process becomes more comprehensive and fair as it captures the diverse aspects of job performance. Emphasizing behaviors rather than threats. Behavior refers to a physical action that can be seen or hid as such as arriving early at work. In contrast, a trait is a specific stable personality characteristic of a person, such as shyness or aggressiveness. Emphasizing behaviors rather than traits in evaluation focuses on observable action rather than inherent personality traits. For example, instead of assessing someone's trait of punctuality, the emphasis is on behaviors like consistently arriving early for work. This approach provides more objective and actionable feedback for improvement and development. Documenting performance behavior. The use of logbooks and diaries in documenting behaviors that lead to performance make evaluation easier is the manner leniency on hollow errors are reduced. Documenting performance behaviors through logbooks and diaries provides tangible evidence of action and accomplishment, making evaluation more objective and precise. For instance, a salesperson can maintain a logbook detailing their daily client interactions, appointments made, and deal close, offering clear evidence of their performance beyond subjective impression. This approach minimizes leniency and hollow errors by grounding assessment in observable behaviors rather than subjective biases. Number 4. Using multiple evaluators. When a lone evaluator undertakes evaluation, bias against certain personality traits adversely affect certain person. This problem will despite if several raters are used. This is truly especially if the raters come from different backgrounds. Ang kaning using multiple evaluators in assessment helps mitigate bias and ensure a more fair and comprehensive evaluation process. For example, in a singing contest, if only one judge is assessing performances, their personal preferences or biases toward certain song types may unfairly disadvantage some contestant. However, with multiple judges from diverse backgrounds, a broader range of perspective is considered, reducing the impact of individual biases and leading to a more equitable assessment of contestant performance. 5. Evaluating selectively. Evaluators who are experts in the areas they are evaluating and to come up with more credible evaluation results. Because this is so, evaluators should only be assigned to rate areas of concern within their competence. Evaluating selectively involves assigning evaluators who are experts in the specific areas they are assessing, resulting in more credible evaluation outcomes. For instance, in a performance review for a software developer, it would be ideal to have an reviewer with expertise in coding evaluate the technical aspect of their work while a manager evaluates their teamwork and communication skills. This target approach ensures that assessments are conducted by individuals with relevant knowledge and expertise, leading to more accurate and meaningful evaluation. Lastly, training evaluators. Performance evaluation, especially if made consistently, must be done effectively. This calls for using evaluators who are properly trained, the wasted time and effort, not to mention the demoralization among those who perceive that they were not fairly evaluated, may be too much for an organization to bear. This may happen as a result of errors committed by an untrained evaluator. Training evaluators ensure effective and consistently performance evaluation, reducing wasted time and demoralization caused by unfair assessment. For example, if an evaluator lacks of training, they may inadvertently commit errors such as leniency or halo effects, leading to inaccurate evaluation. By providing proper training, evaluators learn to apply objective criteria and avoid biases, resulting in fair and constructive feedback for employees. That's all. Thank you.